The world mocks man's needs, and unfairly so. We don't mock a woman's desire to have children. We do mock a man's desire to have woman and make love. And yet without making love, there will be no children and no satisfaction of a woman's desire to have children. Why do we mock the fact that men have this strong desire for women? What happens when you have a society where the youth lay flat because there's no hope of work, no hope of income to keep the parents, leave alone partner and children, and certainly no hope of buying a house to have a home in? You deplore declining fertility, where children are not risked, where there's no hope for bringing up children in a world that's awful, and you don't have the wherewithal to provide for them or yourself. Why do you deplore the fact that a person greatly tends to put their own life first before all else? For except they survive in this world, how will they learn whatever this world's meant to teach them? As I understand it, or take it to be, what is needed for the kingdom of heaven living, life eternal. Why do you suppose the sin of self, yet praise the care of other selves as worthy to be pursued? Are you not worthy? Only them? That's a nonsense taken in aggregate for the whole population. Just an absurdity, self-contradiction. Why do you condemn the notion of pleasure? Because some pleasures are harmful. They may be, but the ones that are not are the very reason for living. And we've already decided we should be valuing living, not dying, in the hope and trust that we're here for a reason, to move towards a maturity, a fullness of life, perhaps in different realms. A kingdom of heaven that is in different dimensions and eternal. Why do we despise hope, born of thought and story and imagination, when it's only thought and imagination that initiates action, creativity, love, what we mean by life? How is it we actually hold on to and value our inconsistency on so many fronts, foundational to our being. It is because we are children, foolish. We should attend to such for happiness and fullness of life. We should attend to such as soon as possible, with all fortitude and hope and trust. And these stories, legends, myths, scriptures, and so on, come to our rescue in that regard and encourage us on, trigger our imagination and vision as to what our calling should be, and in hope is. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. So to return to the beginning of this recording, we mock the misappropriateness of some desire for women, that which would harm the family relationship, that which would bring children that are not able to be cared for because one or both of the partners are much too old. We even have mocked in the past the woman who's no longer of bearing age, which is in the Hebrew story, isn't it? That she's held in contempt by society. There's no need to do that. On the contrary, there's a great need to value her love of children, because she will do much to contribute, if she can, to the grandchildren and children who have no mum. Her drive is actually godliness. Now an older man too longs to have children. No, this is a drive still. He might see a young woman and feel attracted to her. We hope and trust he will master it in that it's out of place. Perhaps we've used mockery to help secure such goal. It's out of place in that he is not, if you like, young and strong and able to provide and care for family and children, as hopefully he has been in life. But he can, in gratitude, of course, take great consolation that in as far as he has life and health and strength, he's able to support perhaps his children's families, his grandchildren and so forth. Perhaps other families that are young, employees in his line of business that are junior to him and need encouragement and help and guidance. And he can be fulfilled accordingly in being a paternal figure still. So both of them, male and female, in their age, can be a blessing and a joy and find great fulfillment. How lovely. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. So it is that God speaks to man, as in the book of Job, God speaks to Job. Or in this case, Krishnamurti. But for the benefit of all of us. And Job heard, because he trusted in God, of course. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. And I get the strong impression that Krishnamurti did not hear, condemned the whole conception of self and attachment and many things that are condemned by the major religions in the world. But I think condemned too in his mind the religion of God, the thought of theology, really the thought of anything that was just thought, not matter. Except even then, of course, one mustn't be attached, apparently, to matter. I mean, of course we're attached to matter. We see it as something that helps in life and in joy and in happiness, in creativity and in avoiding pain and catastrophe. And we see attachment, in fact, as major. Self as major. Desires and wanting as major in life, that we value life. We're not seeking the detachment of a philosophical recluse. It's no better than what we take to be fanatical religiosism. Whether it be subservient obedience to a master, or whether it be lonely isolation from all the world in meditation. It's not life, it's not joy, it's not peace actually at all. It's just emptiness. And you can glorify the emptiness in the hope that there will be some transcendence of being. But all but the master seems to find it. And in the case of Krishnamurti, they feel the master found it, but there are no other masters to replace him. So there will be a longing and an attachment to find one, I think. And another sort of Krishnamurti type character, more suited to the next age, will come along and fill the gap. Which is not the way to go. It's an elitism. It's as bad as all the wealth being concentrated in the hands of the 0.1% or less, and the rest of the world in poverty. We're worshipping these greats of man, and leaving ourselves in poverty in consequence. The Jesus story is not that. I am come that you might have life. You have life. Not me. You. You know, in some sense I've already got it, is the drift of the matter. And he's come to give to you. Okay, it's an imaginary person, Jesus. But there's something lovely about it. And the primacy of the teaching is that not he is loved, you are loved. That there's a wonderful possibility of God who loves you, all powerful and all loving. My God, you can have nothing happen that's wrong for you or bad for you in that case, if that were the case. Does believing such work? I mean, in practical ways, do you find life is peaceful, hopeful, you have meaning, you have joy, creativity, love? You find you are more open and compassionate and long-suffering in that you can be patient with adversity and not be touched by it. Are you flying? Are you, as you have been perhaps, or can imagine being, in love? The world just sings to you. You see miracles everywhere. Tiny things, but thousands of them. You start to realize the wonderfulness of the creation, of the natural world around you, even the unnatural world, how it's such a blessing, so good compared to what things could be or not be at all. I mean, just being is fantastic, isn't it? To be alive, to live, to have experienced what we have to date. Whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things. The gratitude will just carry you like a tidal wave over oceans, over land. Staggering. Don't underestimate simple practices that are a portal to heaven. And you may just think it's picturesque, life eternal, but perhaps it's not. Perhaps it's far more real than the transitory things of the world that we are experiencing and learning from here. That perhaps there is a state of being permanent, far more permanent than the transitory things we clutch onto and long for here. In that case, in that sense, yes, not possessiveness. In that sense, not holding on to the transitory, but seeking the eternal. And the eternal are things of what? Of the state of being within. What we evidence from our mind and what we're thinking, what we're preoccupied with. We need to be preoccupied with that which we think individually, you personally, things that are lovely, that which is good. And it will transform your state of being. Taste and see. Practice whatsoever is good and lovely, thinking on these things. That of your life and the life around you. You know, people are increasingly aware, aren't they, in this world of developed mass media and, you know, the internet and so on, and discussion and awareness, that awareness of all the problems of the world that we haven't solved and our society can't solve and doesn't, nor any other society here. Constantly aware of how awareness of such drags us down, devitalizes us, depresses us quite simply. Whereas to focus on the good and the lovely brings hope, brings gratitude, brings overwhelming motivation, volition, creativity, compassion, kindness, love, help, relationship, communion, fellowship, whatever you call it, company. Whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things. Wow, is it as simple as that? Thank you, Heavenly Dad.